In this lecture, we're going to discuss a topic that's not only central to the sociology of the family but also deeply relevant to our everyday lives: family diversity. When you think about the word family, what comes to mind? Is it the traditional image of a mum, dad, and children all living together under one roof? For many years, this type of family was considered the norm, the standard that society valued and expected. But as we look around today, we can see that families take on a much wider variety of forms. Family diversity refers to the variety of family forms, structures, and relationships present in society. It challenges the traditional view of the nuclear family, a heterosexual married couple with dependent children, as the universal or ideal family type. Instead, sociologists recognize that families differ based on cultural backgrounds, historical changes, social class, and individual choices. Family diversity reflects broader societal transformations, such as shifts in gender roles, legal reforms, and economic conditions. Understanding family diversity is essential for exploring how families meet individual and societal needs while adapting to changes in society. Let's start by thinking about what we mean when we talk about a dominant family type. This term refers to the family structure that's seen as the most typical or ideal in a society. For much of modern history, this has been the nuclear family, a married couple with children living together under one roof. However, recent studies suggest that this family structure is becoming less common. From a functionalist perspective, sociologist George Murdoch argued that the nuclear family isn't just universal to all societies, but it is essential in maintaining social solidarity and social cohesion. According to Murdoch, the nuclear family fulfills 4 key functions. Sexual regulation: families provide a stable context for sexual relationships, which helps maintain societal order. Reproduction: families ensure the continuation of society by having and raising children. Economic support: families share resources and meet the financial needs of their members. Socialization: families teach children the norms, values, and behaviors necessary to function in society. Murdoch claimed that these functions make the nuclear family indispensable and that other family forms, like lone parent or same-sex families, were less effective at performing these functions and can therefore lead to social conflict. Peter Wilmot offered a different perspective, suggesting that while the nuclear family might dominate, the extended family hasn't disappeared. Instead, it's evolved into what he called the dispersed extended family. This type of family remains closely connected emotionally and practically, even if its members live far apart. For example, grandparents might live in a different city or country but still provide financial or emotional support to their children and grandchildren. This has become more common thanks to developments in technology such as video calling and email, but is also made possible through cheaper long-distance travel. Wilmot's work reminds us that while families may look different today, their supportive roles often remain consistent. Julia Brannan suggested that the dominant family structure in modern society is the beanpole family, which is characterized by strong intergenerational ties but fewer horizontal connections, fewer siblings or cousins. This structure has come about due to demographic changes such as lower birth rates and increased life expectancy. Michael Anderson provides a historical lens, showing us that family diversity isn't a new phenomenon. He argued that families have always adapted to the challenges of their time, often taking on forms that might look unfamiliar today. For example, during the Industrial Revolution, families in Victorian Britain frequently included extended relatives living under one roof. This was a practical solution to urban poverty, with shared households pooling resources to survive. Anderson's perspective shows us that while family forms may change due to circumstances, their adaptability remains a constant feature. Whether it's the nuclear family, dispersed extended family, or beanpole family, each reflects how families respond to the needs of their time. Rappaport were pioneering sociologists who challenged the idea that the nuclear family was the dominant or ideal family type in modern society. In their influential 1982 study, they argued that family diversity is a key feature of contemporary life, reflecting the variety of ways families adapt to social, cultural, and economic changes. Their research was based on a meta-analysis, where they examined existing data and studies on family structures in the UK. This approach allowed them to identify patterns and categorize family diversity into 5 distinct types. 1. Cultural diversity. Cultural diversity refers to differences in family structures, values, and practices across ethnic and cultural groups. These variations often reflect traditions, religious beliefs, and historical influences. For example, Afro-Caribbean families are often matrifocal, meaning the mothers or grandmothers are central figures in the household. Whereas South Asian families commonly value extended family living, with multiple generations sharing a household and emphasizing patriarchal authority. 2. Life course diversity. Life course diversity was first suggested by Tamara Haravan and recognizes that families change over time as people move through different stages of life. For example, a young adult might live with their parents in a nuclear family but later move out and cohabit with a partner before deciding to marry. This highlights that families are not static, they evolve as people's lives change. 3. Organizational diversity. Organizational diversity looks at how families differ in their internal roles and responsibilities, like who works, who stays at home, the distribution of domestic tasks, and how decisions are made. For example, in dual-earner families, both parents work and may share childcare and household responsibilities. Whereas in a different dual-earning family, the woman may still take on the majority of the responsibility for household tasks. This type of diversity shows how families organize themselves based on their needs and circumstances. 4. Generational diversity. Generational diversity refers to the differences in attitudes, values, and family experiences between older and younger generations. For example, your grandparents may have grown up in large families where early marriage was common due to social or religious pressures. However, younger generations are more likely to delay marriage, have fewer children, or cohabit before marriage due to changing social norms and greater personal choice. This reflects how historical and social changes influence family life over time. 5. Social class diversity. Social class diversity highlights how a family's economic situation, education level, and job opportunities affect their lifestyle and family dynamics. For example, middle-class families might be more likely to have one parent stay at home when the children are younger, whereas working-class families might need to have both parents working in order to meet their needs. This shows how financial resources and class background shape family life in different ways. By identifying these 5 types, the Rappaports demonstrated that family diversity is a natural and essential part of modern society, influenced by culture, life stages, organization, generational changes, and social class. Family diversity has been shaped by various factors, each playing a crucial role in transforming the way families look and function today. These include changes in laws, shifts in social attitudes, the evolving role of women, the decline of religious influence, the impact of globalization, and material conditions. Let's explore each in more detail. First, changes in the law have significantly widened the options available for family life. For instance, the Divorce Reform Act of 1969 made it easier for couples to divorce by removing the need to prove fault, such as adultery or abuse. This change led to a rise in divorce rates and an increase in single-parent and blended families. Similarly, the Same-Sex Marriage Act of 2014 legalized marriage for same-sex couples, formally recognizing same-sex families. These legal changes have allowed people to move beyond traditional family structures and create arrangements that reflect their needs and values. Next, shifting social attitudes have played a key role in normalizing diverse family forms. Cohabitation, for example, has become much more common, with many couples now choosing to live together without marrying. This has helped establish cohabiting families as a valid and accepted alternative to the nuclear family. Likewise, Growing acceptance of same-sex relationships has challenged traditional ideas about family, leading to greater recognition of same-sex couples raising children. These changes reflect a broader cultural shift toward valuing personal choice and individual freedom in family life. The changing role of women has also been transformative. Over the last century, feminism and gender equality have empowered women to prioritize education, careers, and independence. This has led to a rise in dual-earner families, where both partners share financial and domestic responsibilities, and an increase in lone parent families, as more women now have the financial means to raise children on their own. By challenging traditional gender roles, the changing role of women has significantly diversified family structures. Another factor is secularization, or the decline of religious influence in society. Religious traditions often emphasize marriage as the foundation of family life, but as religion becomes less central to people's lives, cohabitation, divorce, and non-traditional family forms have become more acceptable. This shift has given individuals greater freedom to define their own family arrangements, rather than adhering to religious expectations. Globalization and immigration have further contributed to family diversity by introducing new cultural practices. For instance, South Asian families often emphasize extended family living, where multiple generations live under one roof. This contrasts with the more common nuclear family model in Western cultures. Similarly, transnational families, where members maintain strong ties across different countries, are becoming increasingly common due to global mobility. These influences enrich family diversity by blending traditions from various cultural backgrounds. Finally, material factors, such as rising living standards and longer life expectancy, have created new possibilities for family life. Higher living standards mean more people can afford to live independently, which has contributed to a rise in single-person households, particularly among young professionals and the elderly. Additionally, economic independence, especially for women, has allowed individuals to make family choices that suit their needs, such as cohabitation or single parenthood. These material conditions highlight how practical realities shape the structure of modern families. Together, these factors demonstrate how family diversity reflects the dynamic and ever-changing nature of society. Each one plays a part in shaping the wide range of family forms we see today, showing how families continue to adapt to meet the needs of individuals and society. Now that we've explored the causes and types of family diversity, it's time to look at how sociologists interpret and explain these changes. Family diversity has sparked debate among sociologists, with different perspectives offering unique insights into its causes and implications. From functionalism's focus on stability to postmodernism's celebration of choice, each theory provides a lens through which to understand the evolving nature of family life. Functionalist Talcott Parsons developed the functional fit theory, which argues that the structure of families changes to meet the needs of the society they exist in. Parsons believed that in pre-industrial societies, the extended family was the dominant type. This large family structure was well suited to agricultural economies, providing the labor needed for farming and enabling families to care for their members across generations. As societies transitioned to industrial economies, Parsons argued that the nuclear family became the most functional structure. Parsons highlighted the geographic and social mobility of the nuclear family, making it better suited to the demands of an industrial economy, such as moving for work or adapting to a meritocratic society. However, the functional fit theory has faced significant criticism. Critics argue that Parsons oversimplifies the transition from extended to nuclear families and ignores the persistence of other family forms. Historical studies by Laslett and Anderson challenge Parsons' claim that the extended family dominated pre-industrial society. Laslett's research found that nuclear families were already common in pre-industrial England, while Anderson highlighted how extended families adapted during industrialization to poor resources in working-class communities. While functionalists like Parsons focus on the positive functions of the nuclear family in society, the New Right perspective, led by Charles Murray, takes a much more critical view of family diversity. The new right argues that traditional family structures, particularly the nuclear family, are essential for maintaining social stability, transmitting traditional values, and ensuring the proper socialization of children. Murray is particularly concerned about the rise of lone parent families, which he sees as a key contributor to a range of social problems. He claims that these families, often headed by single mothers, are unable to provide the same level of discipline and role modeling as nuclear families. According to Murray, the absence of a father figure can lead to inadequate socialization, especially for boys, who may lack a positive male role model. He links this to higher rates of crime, poor educational outcomes, and what he describes as an increasing dependency on welfare systems. Murray coined the term underclass to describe a group of individuals who, he argues, trapped in a cycle of dependency created by the welfare state. He believes that generous benefits allow single mothers to raise children without a father's financial or emotional support, undermining the traditional family unit and encouraging a breakdown in social cohesion. However, the new right perspective has faced strong criticism. Feminist sociologists argue that Murray's view is overly simplistic and places unfair blame on single mothers, ignoring the structural issues that contribute to lone parenthood, such as economic inequality and lack of affordable childcare. They also highlight that many lone parent families successfully raise well-adjusted, high-achieving children, challenging Murray's assumption that these families are inherently problematic. Additionally, critics point out that Murray's focus on the nuclear family as the only ideal family type fails to acknowledge the contributions of other family forms, such as extended families or same-sex couples, which often provide strong emotional and practical support. Postmodernists celebrate family diversity as a positive reflection of increased individual choice and personal freedom. They argue that families are no longer bound by rigid, traditional norms and instead can take various forms, such as cohabiting couples, single-parent families, blended families, or chosen families, composed of close friends or non-biological connections. This flexibility allows individuals to shape their relationships to align with their personal needs and values, fostering a more inclusive and adaptive society. Anthony Giddens emphasizes the transformative nature of modern relationships through his concept of the pure relationship. He argues that relationships today are built on emotional connection, trust, and mutual satisfaction rather than societal expectations or economic necessity. This shift enables people to prioritize emotional well-being and fulfillment, creating diverse family forms that better reflect contemporary values and aspirations. Beck-Jernschem and Beck contribute to this understanding through their individualization thesis. They highlight how the process of individualization has allowed people to break free from traditional family roles and expectations, embracing a do-it-yourself approach to family life. This freedom enables individuals to construct family arrangements that suit their unique circumstances, such as dual-career households, co-parenting, or non-traditional partnerships. This diversity not only reflects the complexity of contemporary life but also supports personal autonomy, emotional well-being, and social progress. By embracing these varied forms of family, society becomes more inclusive and better equipped to meet the needs of its members. However, a key criticism of the postmodernist perspective comes from those who argue that this celebration of diversity overlooks structural inequalities. For example, feminists contend that while postmodernists focus on individual choice, they fail to acknowledge the persistence of gendered power imbalances within many family arrangements. Furthermore, critics argue that not everyone has equal access to the freedoms that postmodernists champion, as economic constraints, cultural expectations, and systemic inequalities can limit the ability to make truly autonomous choices. Feminist perspectives also highlight the positives of family diversity, particularly in how it empowers women to challenge traditional roles and create family arrangements that better suit their needs and aspirations. Judith Stacy, a key feminist scholar, views family diversity as a liberating force, allowing women to break free from the constraints of patriarchal, traditional family structures. She argues that in contemporary society, women have greater agency to redefine their roles and relationships, fostering greater equality and autonomy. Stacey's research points to how women are often the drivers of innovative family forms, such as cohabitation, shared parenting, or single motherhood. These arrangements provide women with the flexibility to balance their personal, professional, and family lives in ways that were not possible within the confines of the traditional nuclear family. For example, shared parenting arrangements enable women to pursue careers while maintaining active roles in their children's lives, challenging the notion that caregiving should fall disproportionately on women. Feminist perspectives also celebrate how family diversity reflects broader societal progress in recognizing and valuing gender equality. The increasing visibility of non-traditional family forms, such as same-sex parenting or matrifocal families, challenges the dominance of patriarchal norms and highlights the variety of ways in which families can provide love, support, and stability. Feminists argue that this diversity paves the way for more equitable distributions of power and responsibility within families, benefiting women, men, and children alike. However, a key criticism of feminist perspectives on family diversity is that not all women benefit equally from these changes. Critics point out that factors such as class, ethnicity, and economic inequality can limit the extent to which women can fully enjoy the freedoms and choices associated with diverse family forms. For instance, single mothers from lower socioeconomic backgrounds may face significant challenges, such as financial instability and limited access to childcare, which can undermine the supposed benefits of family diversity. Robert Chester argues that the extent of family diversity is often exaggerated. While he acknowledges that there has been an increase in alternative family structures, such as cohabitation, single-parent families, and same-sex relationships, he contends that these forms of diversity are temporary stages in many people's lives rather than a permanent departure from the nuclear family model. Chester suggests that the nuclear family remains the dominant ideal and the preferred structure for most individuals. Chester introduces the concept of the neo-conventional family to illustrate how the traditional nuclear family has adapted to modern societal changes. In this updated version, roles are more flexible, with both partners often engaging in paid work and sharing responsibilities for childcare and domestic tasks. Chester argues that while people may live in non-traditional arrangements at certain points, such as during young adulthood or following a divorce, the majority ultimately transition into a nuclear-like family structure over the course of their lives. Chester's perspective downplays the significance of alternative family forms, asserting that these arrangements do not represent a fundamental shift in societal norms but rather temporary deviations. For instance, he points to the fact that most cohabiting couples either marry or adopt a nuclear family structure when they have children. Similarly, single-parent families are often seen as transitional, with many individuals eventually forming new partnerships. Chester views the persistence of the nuclear family as evidence of its continued relevance and importance in providing stability, support, and socialization. He believes that while family diversity may appear more visible, it does not challenge the underlying dominance of the nuclear family as a societal ideal. However, critics argue that Chester's perspective overlooks the growing acceptance and normalization of alternative family forms. They suggest that his focus on the nuclear family underestimates the significance of non-traditional arrangements, such as same-sex families, chosen families, or long-term cohabitation, which often function as stable and fulfilling units. Additionally, critics highlight that Chester's analysis may fail to account for the structural and cultural shifts that are reshaping family life, such as changing attitudes towards marriage and increasing recognition of diverse identities. While Chester acknowledges some level of family diversity, he ultimately frames it as overstated and temporary, asserting that the nuclear family remains the enduring foundation of family life for most people. In summary, family diversity is a key feature of modern society, with a wide range of family forms, such as nuclear families, single-parent families, same-sex families, and chosen families. This diversity is influenced by factors like changing attitudes, gender equality, secularization, and globalization, giving people more freedom to choose family structures that suit their lives. Sociologists offer different views on family diversity. Postmodernists see it as a positive sign of individual choice, while feminists highlight how it can empower women to break free from traditional roles. The new right takes a critical view, arguing it threatens social stability. Robert Chester, however, believes family diversity is often overstated and that the nuclear family still plays a central role, though in a more flexible form. Family diversity reflects how family life is changing to match the needs of modern society. It challenges traditional ideas about families and shows how families can adapt to provide care, support, and stability in many different ways. By understanding its types, causes, and perspectives, we can better appreciate the complex and inclusive nature of family life today.